Okay, so let us continue, no? Pinutol ko kasi medyo short yung, medyo mahaba na yung video. So to continue, our next noted reconciling items all about insurance. So as noted in the problem, per record, the company recorded the prepaid insurance which the company uses asset method in recording the insurance was at 29,400. So, basic concept lang ito sa adjusting, di ba? If asset method yung ginamit, ang adjusting natin should point out the expense. So, the point is, we should look out for the expired portion. So, for policy A, which was taken on September 1, 2018, the expired portion is 4 months. So, the computation is, for the expired portion, the value of that expired portion is that divide the cost by the term multiplied by the expired portion, which is 4 months. We would have 2,200. For policy B, the cost of 16,200 divided by the term of 36 months multiplied by the expired portion of 9 months from April to December, we should have 4,050. So the entry is debit insurance expense, credit prepaid insurance, di ba? Simple adjustment lang yan siya. So the correct prepaid insurance at year end would now be at 23,150. Okay? So next, for the property, plant, and equipment. Per record, specifically for the land and building, we have recorded, okay, 8,600,000 as cost daw of that land and building, which was allocated na land at 20% and building at 80%. So the question is, per reconciling item na na-note natin is that yung bang mga other costs which was included in this 8,600,000 and the remodeling cost which was not included, is tama ba yung recognition natin? So first reconciling item. Included in the 8,600,000 is the 180,000 realty tax assumed in prior years. So, under the standard PAS 16, diba? All attributable costs in bringing that acquired property to its working condition should be capitalizable, including taxes in arrears. So, meaning nito, because the company already included this in that 8,600,000, then the company was correct in capitalizing this realty tax. So, no adjustment needed. Okay, klaro yun siya ha. Remember the standard on property, plant, and equipment. Next is that mortgage assumed on the purchase. So, part of that 8,600,000 daw was that there was a mortgage. So, ano ba yung treatment natin dito sa mortgage? Part na ba to siya sa 8,600,000 nila? Or dapat ba ito i-include natin sa 8,600,000 na cost of the land and building? And the answer is, obviously, yes. Diba? All assumed liabilities in the purchase of an asset is obviously part of the cost of that asset. So, ang point is, kung recorded ito siya as 8,600,000, kumbaga, ang net cash outflow na lang nila nito because they assume a 2 million cost was 8,600,000 minus the 2 million. So, that is 6,600,000 lang ang net cash na binayad nila. However, the total cost should include this assumed liability. So, no adjustment is needed. Okay? Special note lang natin dito is all about the remodeling cost. Medyo ito komplikado. Okay? So again, as a requirement, di ba? All costs in bringing that asset to its working condition is capitalizable. Hindi siya expense. Part of the cost of the asset. So the point is, because it was charged to repairs and maintenance, the company or the entity erroneously recorded it as non-capitalizable. So the adjustment is that we should include it as part of the cost of the building only. Why building? Because obviously, hindi siya land because hindi naman natin nire-remodel ang land, or basically, in this particular transaction, ang nire-remodel natin is ang building. So, part siya ng cost ng building. Hindi siya ng land. Okay? These are sometimes the things that we need to consider because again, pag binigyan lang tayo ng cost ng remodeling, di ba? Or binigyan tayo ng cost, dapat sometimes, especially in remodeling cost, dapat natin ma-determine kung saang asset siya in particular. Kasi yun nga, like nito, katulad nito, di ba? Like in this particular example, wherein lump price siya between the land and the building, pero yung remodeling is related lang siya sa building. So, the point is, itong remodeling cost is sa building, hindi sa land. Okay? Next thing that we need to consider is ano tong mga scrap value. Itong mga salvage materials na pwede nating maibenta, no? So, the entity recognizes it as another income, scrap income. Standard states na hindi ito siya separate income, but rather a deduction to your expense. Okay, a deduction to your expense which was at 900. So we need to make an adjustment na dapat tanggalin ito sa income. So debit scrap income kasi yun nga hindi siya income, deduction siya, direct deduction sa expense which was in this particular transaction it was the remodeling cost. Okay? So the adjustment would be to debit 870 only. That is 900 minus 30,000. And tanggalin yung recognized na scrap income which was credited. So ang pag-adjust natin debit. Then at the same time, tanggalin yung na-recognize na 900,000 as repairs expense. So credit repairs and maintenance expense at 900. Diba? So kung titingnan talaga natin, no, ang auditing na subject is lahat na talaga ng scope. So, point is, kung hindi mo alam yung concept ng property, plant, and equipment, hindi mo talaga alam kung anong gagawin mo, no? Anong gagawin. So, to continue, in relation to your property, plant, and equipment is the recognition of the accumulated or for the recognition of the depreciation expense. Okay? So, in 2018, that particular building, okay, ito siya, no depreciation was recognized. So, adjustment, recognize the depreciation using the adjusted cost. So, 50 years minus the salvage value daw of 250,000. So, we will have a depreciation expense computed at 150,000. So, simple computation lang yan siya, no? And simple entry. Debit, depreciation expense, credit, accumulated depreciation. Okay? Next is that in relation to your depreciation concern, okay? Meron daw tayong 168,000 cost incurred to improve a leased office. Okay? So, ang lease, magte-terminate on December 31, 2024, although renewable siya for 6 years. Okay? So, ang special case lang nito is that under PAS 16, when it comes to leases, particularly lease improvement, the standard requires us that in depreciating leasehold improvements, we will consider economic life of that particular asset or of that particular leasehold improvement. So meaning, economic life class is that the period wherein we can use that particular asset economically. In leases, the economic life basically pertains to the in leases. Okay, well, in general, economic life is the period wherein we can use that particular asset economically. Okay? That is correct, no? However, in leases, medyo magkakaroon lang tayo ng medyo komplikasyon or complexity because we need to consider the contract. Diba? The lease contract. The point is, if for normal asset, okay, for normal property, plants, and equipment, or for a normal depreciable asset, economic life basically, more or less, is equivalent to its useful life or life of the asset. However, when it comes to leasehold improvement, there will now be complexity because we need to consider the term of contract. Because the point is, economically, okay, the life of that particular asset is confined with kung hanggang kailan lang natin siya pwede gamitin, which is, in leases, within that contract period. Diba? Kung sa normal na asset, within sa life. But, sa leases, within that contract period. Now, the problem is, ganito. Okay lang if ang life ng leasehold improvement mo is shorter than the contract. Kasi yun nga, economic life is, in general, equal to the useful life. So, okay lang, walang problema. But, what if the term of the contract is shorter than the economic life? Because that is, although buhay pa yung asset mo, pero hindi mo na siya pwedeng gamitin kasi yun nga, expire na yung contract natin. Because it was shorter. So, PAS 16 requires us that in matters in relation to leasehold improvements, economic life should be the short term of the lease agreement, lease contract, and its useful life. Okay? So, in this particular problem, ang lease term na lang natin is 6 years and 8 months. Kasi yun nga, kung mapapansin mo, di ba? Mag-i-expire na to siya on December 31, 2024. And on May 1, natapos yung leasehold improvement natin. So that is an equivalent of 6 years and 8 months or 80 months. Okay? Or 80 months. So the point is, we cannot use the life because the life is 8 years. Ang contract natin is 6 months and 6 years and 8 months. Okay? So, you may ask, renewable naman siya, di ba? For another 6 years. But the point is, hindi pa klaro kung i-renew siya. Kasi yun nga, ang decision will be made on 2019 pa. So, The original term still stands. So, gamitin natin yung shorter talaga, yung 6 years and 8 months. So, that is an equivalent of 16,808 na depreciation. So, the entry is plain and simple, very straightforward. Debit, depreciation expense, credit, accumulated depreciation. So, in total, after effecting all this adjustment, the property, plant, and equipment will have a corrected cost of 9,470,000. I-add natin tong 870 net natin kanina na remodeling cost with 1,720,000 going to land, and for the building 7,750,000. While the corrected accumulated depreciation is 870,308. Okay? Next is all about franchises. So, 'di ba? Intangible asset, we need to amortize. So, like simple concept lang din, same with depreciation divided with its useful life. So, the company failed to recognize the amortization. So, we just need to deduct the 50,000 amortized cost for the franchise, which was originally recorded in the entity's unadjusted trial balance at 500,000. So, the cost was 500. Okay? 10 years ang amortization. And, so, just divide. So, 500 divided by 10 years, we should amortize it at 50,000. So, franchise amortization expense, credit, franchise. Okay? The same with the licensing agreement. This is an intangible asset also. Diba? So, the licensing agreement, 216. So, original amount was 360. Amortized on a 5-year basis. So, walang amortization. So, 360 divided by 5. So, that is 72,000. So, recognize the amortization. Okay? So, corrected amount for franchise, we have 450,000. The corrected amount for license agreement, 144, no? Basic entry. Debit the amortization expense, credit the asset. Diba? Now, for accounts payable, okay, accounts payable, we have this reconciling item. Number 1, error by us, no? Error by us. So meaning, dapat natin bayaran si Dillon Company, pero na-debit natin kay Dilen Company, another supplier. So the point is, in general, walang mali sa accounts payable account. Because tama naman na may babayaran tayo. Ang mali is that mali ang binayaran. So, the entry is just basically to correct the supplier. So, instead of paying Dillon, which was originally credited, ito siya, i-debit na lang natin, isauli natin yung accounts payable ni Dillon. Then, we should pay credit accounts payable to Dilen Company. Reclassification entry lang, no? Reclassification as adjustment. Kung mapansin nyo, debit accounts payable, debit accounts payable, credit accounts payable din, so no effect siya sa accounts payable. Kasi yun nga, tama naman siya in general. Mali lang yung supplier. Okay? There was unrecorded utilities. So, accrual of expenses lang. Diba? Accrual of expenses. But, the point is, because this pertains to utilities, although tama siya na i-recognize natin siya as an adjustment to record the accrual of expenses, this is not an accounts payable transaction. That is why, in our working paper, no adjustment needed for accounts payable. However, we need to recognize the accrual of expense. Diba? Hindi nga lang siya accounts payable. So, the entry is debit utility expense, credit accrued utility expense. Okay? Same with this letter C. Okay? Same with this letter C. Wherein, property taxes, hindi na record, hindi siya accounts payable. So, no adjustment needed for accounts payable. But, there is an adjustment that should be made for accrued expenses. So, debit property tax expense at 10,000, credit accrued property tax expense. Okay? The same with unrecorded vouchers for payroll taxes, no? Ito medyo naging komplikado lang ito because this pertains to payroll taxes, no? Ganito. Klaro yun siya na hindi din to siya accounts payable, so no adjustment tayo. Kasi yun nga, this is payroll tax, not accounts payable. However, di ba, when we talk about payroll taxes, in actual application nito is that, in actual application, this should be deducted from the employee's payroll and to be remitted to the BIR. So, supposedly, if we record a certain payroll, then a part of it should be remitted to the BIR. The net amount of that, meaning the payroll minus the remittance to the BIR, the withheld taxes, yun lang yung dapat ma-receive ng employee. However, the company failed to do that. So, if we are to illustrate that, the company made this error. So, they recorded the, and by the way, itong mga amount na to, like itong 60,000 and ito, these are all just assumed amount, ha? Hindi to siya kasali sa data, but I just assume ito for illustration kung ano yung nangyari, no? So, the company made this error. Let's just say na we have an employee whose payroll is 60,000. Okay? Because sweldo na ngayon, so ito yung ginawa nila, binigay nila lahat. Where in fact, dapat nagdeduct sila ng 18,000 as withholding taxes or itong payroll tax natin. The correct entry should be is that debit ka ng expense at 60,000, credit ka ng payroll tax payable na 18,000. Which is itong dapat, ito yung representation natin for that withholding 1,000. And the net cash na naibigay should not be 60,000 but 42,000. Ito yung correct. Okay? So, this is to correct this erroneous record by the company, we should make this adjusting entry. So, ano yung adjusting entry natin? To recognize this and to correct the overpayment of 18,000. So, because nasobraan tayo ng bigay, it is obviously now to be charged as advances to that employee. So, debit advances to officers and employees at 18,000, credit the payroll tax payable. No? So, medyo komplikado lang siya because of this, but basically, nasobraan lang ng bayad yung entity. So, recognize that advances to that employee, then credit the liability. Ito yung adjustment. But, regardless, hindi siya adjustment for accounts payable because this is accrual. Okay? So, next is rent income checking. So, per record, the company recorded a rent income of 130,000, no? Then, this 130,000 basically was received in December 2018, was recorded as income even though it pertains to 2019. So, the point is, hindi to siya income kasi yun nga, 2019 pa to. Recognize the basic concept of adjusting entry. Recognize the deferral of income. So, reverse the recognized rent income. So, debit ka ng rent income. Recognize the liability or the unearned rent income. Diba? Basic adjusting entry concept. Okay? Next is on interest on mortgage payable, no? Interest. This mortgage payable class, this pertains to the 2 million assumed, okay, mortgage on land and building. Okay? So, wala daw na record na interest. However, okay, yung 2 million is payable in installment every January 1. Starting next year, January 1. The interest is 20% per annum and is payable also on or every January and July 1. Okay? So, the point is, kailan ba yun natin inassume yung liability? Let's check. So, that was on the liability was assumed on or basically at the beginning of 2018. So, let's just assume na mga January din, 2019, at the beginning of January 2018 rather. Okay, at the beginning of the year. So, the point is, when it comes to that particular interest sa mortgage, from January to December, mayroon na dapat accrual for that interest. Although, it is to be paid on January 1, 2019, next year pa. Diba? So, the interest is 20% per annum. Correct? So, we need to recognize that at 2 million times okay? We need to recognize the interest at 2 million times 20% per annum. Okay? However, if we look at the unadjusted trial balance muna, okay? If we look at the unadjusted trial balance, okay? The company already, there was a recognition of 404,320 interest expense. So, medyo, the point is, medyo, kailangan natin ng konting assumption nito as to whether the interest ba on this particular mortgage payable was already included in that 404,000 something na na interest expense. So, let's just assume na include siya pero okay, included siya ito, pero up to July 1 lang. Diba? So, yan yung assumption natin na na included na to, meaning a part of this was already paid but on July 1. Okay? But on July 1. So the point is, we need to recognize the interest, or we need to accrue the interest on this particular mortgage from July 1 to December 31. And that would be computed as 2 million times the interest, which is at 20% per annum, times 6 divided by 12. Okay? So again, the interest should be computed at 2 million times 20% times 6 over 12, because the assumption is the interest was paid on July 1. So no payment from July 1 to December. So that is 2 million times 20% times 6 divided by 12. That is 200,000. So entry, debit, interest expense, credit, interest payable. Now this is not 12%, but rather that is 20%. Typo error again, no? Typo error. So plain and simple lang, no? Payment was made on July 1. No payment made from July 1 to December, because again, that will be paid on January 1. So, recognize the interest from July 1 to December. Now, you may ask, why 2 million? Because it was stated na paid in installment siya, 500,000 every January 1. Now, you have to note na the first principal payment is to be paid on January 1, 2019 pa. So, 2 million still stands, no? January 1 pa, mababayaran yung first 500,000. So, 2 million pa rin yung principal balance natin for this particular mortgage. Okay? So, next, the bonds. Okay. So, when it comes to bonds, no? Okay, remembering the concept of bonds payable. Diba, in general, bonds can be issued at a discount or a premium. Bonds payable tayo dito, ha? So, if we are to acquire, or if we are to issue a bonds at a discount, meaning tumanggap tayo ng mas maliit na pera kaysa dapat pabayaran natin. Diba? Example, we promise to pay through bonds amounting to 1 million. In exchange, we only receive an amount amounting to, let's say, 980,000. So, there is a difference of 20,000. Diba? So, that is bonds issued at a discount. Tumanggap tayo ng pera na mas maliit kaysa dapat natin babayaran. Diba? Premium, at a premium, tumanggap tayo ng pera na mas malaki kaysa dapat natin bayaran. Diba? At a premium. So, let's say, we promise to pay through bonds amounting to 1 million. Pero yung natanggap natin na pera is 1,020,000. So, the difference of 20,000, that is premium on bonds payable. Diba? So, the point is, if bonds are issued at a discount, okay, the discount is an addition to your interest expense. Diba? So, yun nga, the difference of the 20,000 na mas maliit na natanggap mo kaysa dapat mong bayaran, in essence, that is your interest, additional interest expense. While for premium, a deduction to your interest expense. Diba? Kasi yung 20,000 na mas mataas mo na natanggap, kaysa dapat mong mabayaran is, that is a deduction to your interest expense. Or alternatively, pwede mo rin siyang consider as interest income, but best if interest, deduction to your interest expense. So the point is, in this particular problem, okay, there was no accrual of interest daw. To, no interest nor bond discount amortization was recorded. Okay? So, at least dito, klaro yung statement, hindi katulad nito. Diba? So, dito, klaro na wala talagang payment. Okay. And if you may also remember na pag sinabi natin, di ba, na discount or premium on bonds payable, we need to amortize it using, okay, using the effective interest method. Okay. So, in this particular problem, the accrual of interest na hindi na-recognize, dapat i-recognize natin siya at 180,000. Paano kinuha itong 180,000? 2 million multiplied by the face value. Okay? Multiplied by the nominal rate at 9%. So, that is for 2 million times 9%. So, that is 180,000. Kasi yun nga, 1 year yung hindi natin nabayaran na interest. So, that is 180,000. Again, 2 million times 9%. So, that is 180,000. Diba? Next is itong discount natin. So, paano natin ito i-amortize? Again, using the effective interest method. So, if we are to use the effective interest method of amortizing bonds, remember this amortization schedule, di ba? Which is carrying amount, di ba? Ito ng mga column. Okay? So, ang number 1 natin dito na i-determine first in using the for us to use the effective interest method is for us to determine this carrying amount in 2018. So, paano natin ito kinuha? Itong 1,878,000. So, if we may look at our trial balance class. Okay, let's go back to our trial balance first. Our bonds payable is recorded at 2 million. Ito, diba? At then, we have this discount on bonds payable, 122,000. So, with that means na on December 31, 2018, the recorded carrying amount of this particular bonds payable is 2 million minus 122,000. So, that would be 1,878,000. Diba? So, yun siya pagkuha ng 1,878. So, 2 million minus 122. So, diba, in using the effective interest method, itong interest to be paid based on nominal rate at face value. That is why nakuha natin itong supposedly accrue natin na interest, di ba? Itong effective interest natin, this is computed as the carrying amount multiplied by the effective rate, which is at 10%. Itong sinabi nila na 10% yung yield. So the point is, ito yung binayaran natin na interest. But the truth of the matter is, ang totoong interest expense natin is 187,800. Because of what? Because of the discount. Which, if we compute the amortization of that 122,000 discount, effective rate less the nominal rate. So, we have an amortization of 7,800. Okay? So, the total interest expense, okay, the total interest expense in 2018 is 187,800, which is our effective interest expense. Ito. So, how will we recognize the adjusting entry? For the accrual, for the nominal rate, plain and straightforward computation, debit interest expense, credit interest payable, which is this will be paid on January 1, 2019. 180. For the discount, again, debit interest expense, kasi yun nga, kulang na to kung ito lang, because of the discount, credit the discount on bonds payable. So, after this entry, the discount on bonds payable, which was presented in the unadjusted trial balance at 122, will now be added by this amount. Diba? So, that is for your bonds payable. So, no, you have to remember again for your concept on liabilities. Diba? So, next is for the income tax expense. So, basically, after all the adjustments class, okay, after all the adjustments, this is our adjusted income statement. So, simple lang, the net income before tax, just multiply by the income tax rate at 30%. So, we will have 1,820,000 of correct income tax expense, which is per record, ang na-record lang natin is 1,585,000 because this is prior to the adjustment. But the applicable income tax should be 1,820,451.60, diba? Ito. So, we need to adjust 234,000. So, income tax expense debit, credit, income tax payable. Okay. So, after making all those adjustments, okay, after making all these adjustments, the working paper would now look like this. Okay. This is your unadjusted trial balance. This is the summarized adjustment for all accounts. And this will be your unadjusted trial balance. Okay? This will be your unadjusted trial balance. So, hindi natin ito siya iisahin because basically, simple lang naman ito yung pagkuha ng adjusted natin. The unadjusted trial balance plus or minus the adjustment. Okay? Obviously, considering the normal balance of each account. Diba? So, that ends this problem. Okay? So, kung mapansin natin class, no, medyo mahaba siya. Actually, this is a special problem, no, wherein I just did try to give this to you so that you will be exposed, no, na when it comes to auditing problems, ganito talaga yung concept na hindi lang isang topic yung may encounter mo, but rather the overall concept for financial and advanced accounting. So, you need to be prepared. You need to have a strong foundation on financial and advanced accounting because you will never know kung ano talaga yung manonote natin na error when it comes to auditing. Okay, when it comes to auditing. So, this ends our discussion for today. So, the next discussion I will be posting will be all about misstatements in the financial misstatement in the financial statement, which basically the concept of adjusting errors, no? Well, what we did today is basically nag-correct na tayo ng error, but this is just the overall picture, no? On how in general we correct errors. So, after nito, isahin na natin siya sa mga topic. So, after the errors, we will have how to auditing cash, receivables, and so on, and parts of the financial statements. Okay? So, that would be all. So, again, have a blessed day and hoping that you are safe always. So, thank you.